Very good morning. Professor Alok Dhawan, Director, CSIR, Indian Institute of Toxicology Research, and Chief Guest of the day, our Director, Professor Raja Roy, our Senior Professor, Professor Hajra, faculties, staff, students, my friends from the media, print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of CBMR fraternity and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to all of you to this auspicious day when we are celebrating our 13th Foundation Day. Please join me in welcoming Professor Dhawan once again by putting your hands together because he has spared a time for us. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for visiting us. And everyone, well, I find that there may be tens of reasons to celebrate the Foundation Day of any institute. But I have, in my opinion, I find two compelling reasons why an institute should celebrate its Foundation Day. The first I have pointed out is that this gives us opportunity to thank our founders and formers, the effort and hardship they put to establish this institute. Second reason I find is that it gives us opportunity to rededicate ourselves to the larger goal of this institute, why this was established. With these few words, I request our director to felicitate our chief guest, Professor Dhawan. With a proud. Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Hajra to felicitate our director. Thank you, sir.
No, I will felicitate
And from this public dais, I will make a personal comment about our chief guest. That your personality has always impressed me, sir. I am a big fan of you.
Dear faculty and dear students, I am highly obliged for Professor Alok Dhawan who basically accepted my invitation in a very short span of time, because we were planning to have this particular Foundation Day. We were all thinking that we should start something good with the centers, that the center starts with an energetic manner. And this center, I I'm involved with this center since its inception, that is since 1998. It's not that it was being known since 2006 or so and so forth. We had a very big brainstorming session at the seminar room of the radiology. So, a lot of stalwarts were present, Professor P.N. Tandon, and then Professor N.K. Ganguly, and there were several other DGCSRs who were present at that time. We presented our work, and then there was a strong urge to create a magnetic resonance, biomedical magnetic resonance center, housed inside PGI. It should be a part of PGI. And that's how we wrote a proposal, a project proposal. Our first project proposal, I used to come on a scooter all the way from CDRI on Saturdays, every Saturdays and Sundays, to write the rough draft, show it to Professor Khetapal. He used to correct it, I used to take it back, and then again, I used to come again in the next week, because Monday to Friday was my office time, so I was unable to come, but definitely after the office on Saturdays and Sundays, I was having a completely free time. So that's how the first project came, which was being jointly submitted to the DST for your IRFA program. And there were about several institutions were involved in that. One was from PGI, the other one was from IIT Kanpur, and the one was from CDRI. And the first project which we wrote, that was your cellular NMR for biomedical applications. That was the first, but we never did that cellular NMR afterwards. I think Dr. Ashish Gupta did his PhD. We had a very good cell culture lab also. He made that culture lab, but due to some having these exenic cultures, we were not so much amount of having experience to generate cultures and exenic cultures. They used to get contaminated every time. So that idea was being dropped after the project got sanctioned. And that's how the system came up, and for 5 years it was being funded by the DST, and it was being known that after 5 years it will be absorbed by SGPJ, it will be a part of PG. During that time, Professor C.L. Khetapal was a distinguished professor who was holding two positions. He was a Vice Chancellor of Allahabad University, as well as he was a distinguished professor at SGPGIMS, and we were interacting with each other. And the first particular funding came in 2001, and in 2002 the center was created after getting the funds. The first instrument which came was the 400 megahertz with microimaging accessories. So 2.35 crore was the budget which was being sanctioned by the DST at that time. I used to come during the time of installation. I used to come all the way from CDRI on scooter, because I didn't have a vehicle at that time. Only my vehicle was a two-wheeler, and I used to be associated here during the total course of the installation at that time. And in 2002, we basically conducted one NMRS Society NMRS symposium, where a lot of biomedical, because Dr. R.K. Gupta was also one of the co-principal investigators in that particular project, who was a radiologist by profession, and he has done a very huge quantum of work in the area of MR in radiology. He was the first pioneer to distinguish and differentiate between tuberculoma and a cystic granuloma in brain in CNS tuberculosis. So that's how it all started. And the ball started rolling. But in 2005 or so, the funding was being stopped, because it was from 2001 to 2006. After 2006, no funding was being given. And then the director at PGI, Professor Kartar Singh, he refused to absorb this center. He refused to absorb this center with PGI. That was the birth of our center. Then the birth of the PGI center came. This center of biomedical magnetic resonance came. Professor Alok Dhawan used to do a lot of work after I joined here in 2007. He used to come all the way from IITR in the night, in the evening time. He used to spend about 8:30 in the night. He used to bring tea along with the professor so that we should have tea and we should go on working in microimaging. We were doing microimaging in rats. His student, my student, I think who was working at that time. He is now
Sanjay.
Sanjay.
Yes.
Sanjay Agnara.
Yes.
We used to do work in that particular time.
I started, but after that I left.
You left because after that you went to US. Then your immediate boss was Chaco at that time,
Yes.
who basically was imaging. So that's how it started. That's how it started, and then a center was created by the Chief Minister as an autonomous center of biomedical resonance. Then slowly in 2011, it got approved by the cabinet as a center of biomedical resonance, and slowly the things started developing. And then Professor Ganesh Pandey came. He started the chemistry part. He started the drug discovery part here. And that's how the total inception of this center came into the picture. Because a lot of efforts has been incorporated in. Because when after 2006, all the faculty who were there in this particular, only one faculty was there, Dr. Nagan Gowda. He is now presently in Washington DC. He is a professor, I think, professor by residencies and things like that. He left this place and there was no one to look after him. Then Professor Khed, Then two positions were being advertised at that time in 2006, and I was very reluctant to come here from CBMR because I was well off there. I was well established and well off. But Professor Khetarpal forced me to come here because he told me that because if no one comes, the center will get closed even after getting an approval from the Chief Minister. Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav was the Chief Minister when it was approved. The center was not approved as a part of this body. So I joined after that immediately. Dr. Neeraj Sinha joined in 2007. I joined in April, he joined in June or July. And that's how the ball started rolling. So, the rest is history, you must be knowing, because after 2011, the cabinet approval, things came up. And then in 2013, Professor Ganesh Pandey, he took the charge. And that's how it went on growing. And possibly in near future, more of biological people should be incorporated in this particular center, so that more of biology-oriented work along with patient care should be done, so that we can benefit the society accordingly, and we should be in strong collaborations with all the medical institutes. We have the privilege in Lucknow, we have the privilege that we have so many medical institutions where I am interacting with basically with all the different types of different problems with different medical institutions, even here from PGI, from KGMU, and from now and all the Institute of Medical Sciences. So now coming to the point, that was the genesis. So now coming to the point, this is our center, and these are the faculty. At present, he just joined about a month back, I think so. Dr. Ramesh Tiwari. A month back he has joined, and after him, then I think Dr. Ashish Gupta and Dr. Uttam Kumar, they both joined, and along with that, Dr. Dinesh Kumar also joined together because he was a research associate at that time. Isn't it, Dinesh, when you came here? You didn't completed your PhD, so
yes,
you were about to complete, and then you came here as a research associate. And then he was being promoted, and then he was being absorbed by this particular center. And after that, then came Professor Somen Hajra. I think Dr. Vikas Besh came first, or Dr. Vikas Besh came first, and then followed by Dr. Sayyid Masood Hussain, followed by Dr. Dev Tiwari, and along with that, Professor Hajra also joined, but then he was on leave for 1 year, and then he joined in 2014 as a permanent faculty. And these are the newly inducted, very young, bright people, Dr. Buddhadev. Yeah, where is your photo? I'm not seeing your photo. sorry, Dr. Devi. He's sitting in the front. Maybe I forgot to do the copy paste in my this slide. I'm extremely sorry for that. But then Dr. Buddhadev. He does not work in the area of methodology development, exceptionally bright faculty here. Dr. Vishwanath Mehdi is also an exceptionally bright biologist who does a lot of work in the area of cancer biology. And then Dr. Dravendra Tiwari has just recently done. And Dr. Pradyadip Shah, he does the methodology development as well as the medicinal chemistry, because he is being trained in medicinal chemistry, I presume. Your postdoctoral fellowship is being trained in medicinal chemistry. Now, after that, 3 units got generated. Where you have, maybe if I take a bit more time, you would feel too bored, because that's how you can generate an interest right from the point of its inception to how the things are going. So the first unit which we were having in biomedical magnetic resonance, what was at that time, it was a body fluid NMR, because mostly all the pioneering work at that time from 2002 to 2006 was being carried out in Center of Biomedical Magnetic Resonance, where a lot of translational methods were developed in case of liver transplant and other systems like your UTI, urinary tract infections. And then a particular name was being given by our former director as a unit, as a molecular diagnostic and phenome research. We are just 1% of it presently working, because the name is a huge name. Molecular diagnostic and phenome research is a huge name. It's a village. If people wants to do work here, it's a sort of a village, where a village has to really work for this so that it can be made in the area of translational research. It can be implemented from bench to bedside. So it is if it comes up, it will be a very big dream in that particular course. Then when he came, then he basically generated one more division, that was the molecular synthesis and drug discovery. A lot of work is going on in this particular area. There are a lot of methodologies development, and a lot of new bioactive molecules are getting synthesized, which are being tested. And there is translational cell biology. It is a very, very young unit. Only one faculty is there, Dr. Vishwanath Mehdi, who is working in this particular area. Now we come to the molecular diagnostic. I'm just giving you some key features last year. It is not the overall features, but some of the key features which are being done. Maybe this in future may lead to translational research. Maybe it may lead to a translational research, because if you know, in breast cancer, breast are adipose tissues, and adipose tissues are made up of lipids only. Maximum 80 to 90% of the tissue composition is of lipids. So what exactly happens in breast cancer? There is a drastic change in the compositions of the PUFA, that is your linoleic acid and linoleic acid. So that may be one of the most important biomarkers which can be screened through in vivo MR spectroscopy. Why? Because as soon as there will be a difference in the compositions, you come to know that there is some sort of alterations is going on within the breast tissues. So there is a huge reduction in the concentrations of these PUFA, which is your linoleic acid and linoleic acid. So we have proposed that possibly if we can do multivoxel MR spectroscopy, and that can be used as a early screening, more precise. Mammography is being used in a normal case, but it may be a more precise method, more accurate method. Maybe it will be costly, but it may be a more accurate method for doing the early screening process so that it can be arrested. The disease can be arrested at an early moment of time period. Because once it is a full-blown case, it becomes very difficult because prognosis becomes a difficult process. Then here in the structural proteomics, Dr. Dinesh is working. I think this slide after that I will move to the chemistry part because I may be taking too much time. So here it is the histone-like protein. He's working on the H. pylori. H. pylori infection is a very common infection, and people get infected when you eat raw fish. Raw fish is being eaten in Japan and all, and it has a very high population of H. pylori, and it is highly toxic. Once it creates stomach ulcers and a lot of other complications, and it may lead to death. So he has identified that there is a histone binding, histone-like DNA binding. He has recently published it in a very good journal. And then coming to the new NMR methods, ये स्वच्छ भारत का काम है. This is the work of a Swachh Bharat. What Dr. Vikas Bais is doing, he is trying to clean up the things on the dirt so that more better information can be obtained. And he is doing the spectral Swachh Bharat, where he is trying to simplify the information so that the correlations can be done. So that's what the methodology development Dr. Vikas Bais is doing. And here it is Dr. Neeraj Sinha, who is working in the area of osteoarthritis, where he is doing the articular cartilage in solid state NMR and studying the motional aspects of the gags as well as of the collagen which is present. So gags and collagen, I think it is in their motional components are in the order of microseconds, whereas the gags are in the order of nanoseconds. So that exact accurate motional aspects can be quantitated through solid state NMR. Is developing new methodologies here, which is being done. Second is your fMRI, that is on the sensor hearing loss, and that is Dr. Uttam Kumar is doing. He has recently published in those people who have the sensory ear loss, which are the portions of the brain becomes more active, and using functional MRI giving different tasks. And he has identified several areas through which he is trying to develop an app which may simplify the learning process of these type of people right from their childhood. So that's what exactly is being done. And these are the scientific features which basically have been published in last year, that is in differential diagnosis of tuberculosis and pulmonary sarcoidosis. Both are having the same similar type of clinical symptoms. It is very difficult to differentiate that whether the patient is suffering from, unless and until you do the culture method, which takes 6 to 7 weeks time. And for doing that, it takes a long time. And the only difference what you have, that is cooking not both the granuloma generation, that is the normal defense mechanism of a human body. When any foreign body or any bacteria comes into the picture, what it does, it tries to overcome that. And while overcoming that, granuloma formation is being taking place. And in tuberculosis and mycobacterium tuberculosis, this granuloma formation has a caseous-like material, like cheesy-like material. Caseous granuloma. They are cheesy-like material. Whereas in case of sarcoidosis, it is non-cheesy-like granuloma which has been formed. So he has, through the help of serum-based metabolomics, he has differentiated, and he has found out that yes, serum can differentiate between the normal control with respect to sarcoidosis disease or as well as tuberculosis. This is in liver chronic diseases where there is a gut permeability and where you do that is the standard clinical test which is being performed through calorimetric studies. But in calorimetric studies, glucose molecule also interferes. So if you do the lactulose mannitol ratio is being given empty stomach, and the quantum of urine which is being excreted out, the lactulose mannitol is being quantitated through calorimetry, but there the false positives are much more higher. But here it is accurate through NMR in urine. He has developed this particular methodology, and these are the molecular diagnostic. This is work which is being done by Dr. Vikash Bhatt. The details can be presented. Whoever is interested can talk about the details. Where through MR-based metabolomics in serum, he was been able to distinguish, differentiate between a thyroid carcinoma and a normal goiter. I think goiter you were taking into picture, yeah, or just a healthy control you were taking.
Healthy control,
Okay.
benign.
Benign also, that is the goiter, benign tumors. And then he is doing other work in the area of fungi and so on. This is what I was talking about, the Swedish spectra, what he is trying to do. Remove the unwanted signals, which makes your assignments much better, much easier, much unable.
These are biofluids.
These work is being on biofluids and psychic field shift experiments yielded chirp excitation. And that is psychic consequence which is being used for having a completely decoupled spectrum in one of the dimensions, and that simplifies the quantum of magnetization components of the cross beams, and that makes your assignments more authentic and more unambiguous in nature. So that's what he is trying to do, method development in the area of MR, in the area of metabolomics. And then in prostate cancer, I think Dr. Ashish Gupta has done an extremely good job in identifying a metabolite which is your sarcosine, which has been found to be a very important biomarker which can differentiate between normal prostate, BPH, that is benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is a non-malignant in nature, and the another one is your prostate cancer. Along with that, in combination, he has identified one protein MC1 like PSA, prostatic serum antigen. This is being tested, the quantum of, if it is very high, there is an indication that a person may be suffering from prostate cancer. So MC1 is one of the protein which he has identified has a better PSA to predict in prostate cancer. I think a lot of his publications has appeared in number of public newspapers. किस में आया भैया?
सर हिंदू में है, और इसके बाद टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में भी है, पाइनियर में भी है, हिंदी न्यूज़पेपर में भी है, और बेस्ट थिंग इज दैट दिस पेपर हैज बीन एक्सेप्टेड फॉर द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एंड विज्ञान प्रसार भारती.
Okay, it has been accepted.
It has been accepted, and on the website they are showing that.
Good. Fine. And in your ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, where clinical patients, when they are in the ICU, Dr. Neeraj Sinha has done an extremely good work in collaboration with PDI, where he has combined the clinical parameters, the clinical tests like your Apache and so far. If anyone is interested, he can discuss with him. And along with the NMR methods, combining both the method, the clinical method, the clinical test, because there are series of tests which is being done in Apache and so forth, where clinical tests are being performed, conducted, and then you decide that whether the patient is critical, less critical, more critical, or highly critical in nature. So their receiver operating characteristic curve is not so accurate as compared when you start combining the MR metabolite based parameters, and so that you get the ROCS1 that is 100%. So much accuracy can be maintained by in combination with all the clinical methods and all these aspects. Now these are the some salient features I'm trying to give, because there will be so more publications, but whatever they have thought that this will completely tell. And possibly this may be at the translational stage at present moment, and their clinicians from the critical care unit is trying to incorporate this methodology for defining that whether the patients are critical, more critical, or highly critical. So that part of the work he has done, and he's still doing work in this particular area. Okay, and this is what the GAGS is. I'm not going. This is the molecular diagnostic and phenome research effect of meditation and mental health. FMRI Dr. Uttam Kumar is doing the work, and where we have shown these are the earlier work where we have shown that the effect of meditation improves and it increases the gray matter in the human brain. And then effect of literacy. This was the international project, a joint project with the Netherlands, what he did, where it was 6 months illiterate subjects who were being taught and they were made literate. So initial stage, mid stage and later stages, they have seen some lot of drastic changes. That means brain plasticity can be anything. So it is not like that after 14 years the brain plasticity doesn't reduces or doesn't stops. It can increase any time. So even for the adult people, he has basically shown this particular. Then you have the fMRI studies on post-stroke patients studying ADHD. Maybe he will be able to explain where he has identified few regions, attention deficient hyperactive disorders in children, and then in fMRI studies in post-stroke patients, that's how the various functional aspects of the stroke conditions, and then understanding the effect of sensory loss that is here in challenge brain, and then of learning tools. That's what exactly he's trying to make it. New method as a learning tool, which will be a mobile app, which he's basically planning, and this mobile app will be freely available. Possibly, I think within 3-4 months, you will be able to implement this particular thing, so that once that app is available in your app shop, anyone, any person who has the hearing loss can upload it, and if it is an illiterate, he can learn the things accordingly much faster way, because the studies, a lot of fMRI studies, he is trying to incorporate it for the learning process. Okay, this is the translational cell biology unit, CBMR, of Dr. Vishwanath Mehti is doing the work, where he has identified a gene like in cancer therapy. What happens? Chemotherapy cancer is highly toxic. So basically, it leads to long-term exposure to chemotherapy, leads to heart failure, ventricular dysfunction, arrhythmia. So he has identified a role of G protein regulators can be more than chemo-induced heart damage, and he has seen that if this particular if inhibition of the G protein regulated TB5 represents an unifying mechanism to circumvent different drugs induce cardiac toxicity in patients to oxidative stress. So he has demonstrated that if you can basically inhibit this particular protein, you can have a risk so that the heart failure side effects can be minimized and a long, prolonged duration of chemotherapeutic treatment can be done to patients who are undergoing chemotherapy. The second is about what he has done work in the area of gastric ulcer, and in gastric ulcer he has shown that also leads to cardiac complications, and these cardiac complications can very well be if you do the blockage, that reduces the painkiller induced cardiac damage. So that's what the things are. Now coming to the MSDD unit research, head is Professor Somin Hajra. Drug development, I've used only few slides so that just to show that what sort of area they are trying to approach. Drug development through natural product synthesis for cancer and neurological disorders. discovering small molecules with unprecedented diversity that affects a specific targets as a mean to treat diseases like cancers, Parkinson's, inflammations, and pain. Understanding the biochemistry of superoxides and its role in modifications of biomolecules such as proteins and DNA, development of new strategies for synthesis of biologically active natural products using recombinant enzymes, and medicinal chemistry and development of new catalytic methods for cost-effective synthesis of drugs, and discovery methodologies based on CH bond activation for the development of medicinally important molecules and drugs. So this is what Professor Hajra is doing work in the area of Parkinson's disease, where effective concentration, because this molecule has been found to be, I think from CSIR, it has been found to be a potent dopamine agonist, which basically affects it as an antibiotic. So it's deep, and possibly he is trying to modify this molecule so that this micromolar concentration, effective concentration, can be reduced to nanomolar concentration in cell lines, so that maybe it can be implemented in the near future for anti-Parkinson's diseases. And then identification of cancer lead molecules. These are all, you know, heterocyclic molecules are all privileged class molecules. And if you have certain molecules, because any heterocyclic molecules are privileged class molecules, if you try to see the quantum of drugs which are present in the market, about 60 to 70% of these molecular entities are heterocyclic in nature. So these heterocyclic molecules are having an important role in the drug development process. So yes, synthesize this molecule, and 9 compounds have been shown to be having a prominent anti-cancer activities against various cell lines of IC50 inhibitory concentration availability of 10 micromolar. So that can also be reduced. He may be doing certain further modifications so that it can be reduced, because in the sense it has to be nanomolar or sub-nanomolar concentration, then only it will be effective in human beings or in a living system. Then fluorinated based compounds. Recently, I was just going through it. Last year FDA has approved the number of APIs, that is your active pharmaceutical ingredients. They have approved about 45% of the drug which are fluorine based molecules. Last year FDA has approved APIs which contains 45% of the molecules which contains fluorine-based molecules. That has recently come in the Scientific American magazine. So he's also doing work in this particular area, representing fluorine binding oxynoles. They have different names, these heterocycles, privileged heterocycles, and then basically planning to have a PET imaging agent. I think this is a brain PET imaging if F19 can be replaced by F18, and more of nitrogenated compound, because it has to be made hydrophilic so that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. According to the Lipinski school, the more hydrophilic the molecule is, it crosses the blood-brain barrier. Otherwise, it never crosses the blood-brain barrier. So, if you can incorporate more nitrogen in this, if you incorporate smoke, it may be one of the most important PET agent, where at cold condition and even at warm condition, that F18 can be maintained. So that's what he is doing, and he is doing discussions with the media MS in the nuclear medicine. I think in the nuclear medicine we are doing discussion. More details can be given by him. I'm just giving an overview. I cannot have all the ideas, all the hard work which has been incorporated by so many faculty in such a short span of time, and neither I have that ability. So one has to know that particular point. So then, in low cost extraction of biologically active natural products, Dr. Masood Hussain is doing, like these molecules are, you can see the cost of these molecules, and he is isolating, he is basically doing the extraction from this costing only 650 rupees 900 grams, and these are the sigma average price level, these are anthroponormal molecules. And you can see they are in lakhs, whereas it is compared. So he's descaling, he's trying to descale the commercial availability of these anthraquinones from the Raymond chini that is being known. It's also present as a Insafi blood purifier and other aspects in other medicinally or Ayurvedic formulations, and the medicinal properties as anti-inflammatory. Okay, half an hour, fine. So this comes Dr. Bhupesh Tiwari. He's synthesizing exotic molecules for methods development. Some of the basic chemistry has also to be there in a part of a particular institution, because that is also a prerequisite requirement. So that new methods which are being developed can be applied for further applications. So he is doing asymmetric organocatalysis, that is synthesizing these exotic molecules. And this is Dr. Chakku Pandey, who is working on the CH activation, where he is synthesizing basic nucleus. Maybe now he is trying to synthesize basic nucleus which has a privileged class, which are based on privileged class molecules, that is active compound of most of the drugs are based on those kind of nucleus. So he is trying to synthesize through CH activation, and he has beautiful papers, publications in this particular area. And then this is Dr. Jaideep Saha, who has a background of medicinal chemistry. He is trying to synthesize here. This is a self-funding project of his, where peroxides, because artemisinin is an antimalarial compound, it is being used for brain malaria. So, in this particular case, he is trying to synthesize peroxide-based molecules as an antimalarial molecules, and antimalarial is an important drug in tropical countries because it is the need of the hour. We should work more on the tropical diseases. Like CDRI also works more on the tropical. He was a director also there. He knows that a lot of anti-malarial, because RT-ether was the first anti-malarial drug which was being marketed jointly by CMAP as well as CDRI at that time. So a modification of artemisinin and RT-ether was being made, synthesized, derivative of artemisinin was being made, and it is being used for cellular malaria. And Dr. Dharmendra Tiwari has just joined, so I will not talk about him. He may be having a lot of ideas in his mind. And then finally, I am trying to give, because I want to do it faster. Acknowledgements, our former directors, Professor C.L. Ketpal, I would want to talk about the genesis, Professor C.L. Ketpal, who did all the administrative work and we used to do the research component work for doing the writing the projects and all those things. So he was instrumental in creating this sector. Then Professor Ganesh Pandey came afterwards, and he has started 2 new further departments or units, very vibrant units, and all the collaborators, faculty from departments of SGPGIS, faculty from departments of AGMU, faculty from departments of Loya Institute of Medical Sciences. Thank you very much for your kind attention.